So in the last video, we were talking about where we use appraisals. And we talked about that an appraisal is to set a value on an item. The question is, what does it mean for an item to have value? What is the nature of value? Wherever you are right now, you have some valuable items with you. If you're at home, think about what's valuable to you. Now, some of those items you might be able to pick up and sell to somebody else. Someone might actually pay you for it. So one definition of value is what another person, a third party, is willing to pay you for that item. But some of those items that you have, nobody would pay you anything for, but they mean a lot to you. So even when we're talking about value, we have to think about perspective. We can think about value from a subjective perspective, what it means to us, sentimentality, feeling, personal opinion, or an objective perspective, what it would mean to an unbiased third party. So when we think about value, we can break it into subjective categories or objective categories. Now, an appraiser looking at a home would have to look at this home from an objective perspective. They couldn't put in their personal opinion into the value, but subjective opinions absolutely influence the purchase and sale of real estate. They actually influence all investment decisions. How we feel about an item is going to dictate what we're willing to pay for it. Think about it. If you're going to sell your home, there is some rock bottom price, what we call the floor price, that you are willing to accept for this property. You won't sell it for anything less than that. It doesn't mean that that's what its true worth is, but that's what it's worth to you as an individual or family, because it's special to you. As a buyer, all buyers have what we call a ceiling price, the maximum that they are willing to pay because that's what it represents to them. So investment, purchase and sale decisions are definitely based on subjective values. But an appraiser, like I mentioned, has to look at these items objectively. But even looking at something objectively, if you're all your personal opinion, still could come up with a different value, again depending on your perspective. If you're appraising a property for purchase and sale, we're going to look at what we call its market value. What would somebody actually pay for this home? But if you're appraising a property perhaps for insurance purposes, you wouldn't be asking yourself, what would somebody be willing to pay for this home? What's the question an insurance appraiser would ask themselves? What would it cost to replace this? Now, that's a different measure of value. Certainly, it doesn't cost the same thing to replace or rebuild or remodel a home than it does to purchase it. It's still two different measures objectively of value. A lender, a bank, for example, like we mentioned before, market reason for an appraisal, they're going to get the property appraised before they approve any kind of loan. Now, they are concerned that if the borrower can't pay defaults, they'll have to repossess the property and sell it quickly on an open market at a time when the market may have dipped and they don't know what's going to happen. So they're more likely to take a very conservative approach to market value. So yet a third perspective. A fourth perspective, taxation, they have their own perspective on what they believe the value of this property is. So looking at a property objectively, we could still go after its market value or actual value, its insurable value, its lending value, its taxable value. It just depends on what the reason is that we're getting this appraisal done. So value can fall into these two categories. Subjective, personal feeling absolutely impacts investments, purchase and sale decisions, and objective measures of value where we take our personal opinion out of the valuation.